Are you ready to make some great art? Great! Go grab your sketchbook. Grab a set of color pencils, grab a set of markers, grab whatever art supplies you got. I just want you to get really excited about today's art lesson. Visual arts, painting, sculpture, assemblage, textiles, and much more. Someday you're going to be asked to use the information you know about visual arts in a variety of ways. 1, how does art impact your culture? 2, a historical time period. How does art during that historical time period impact the history that we study today? Do the themes of art still carry on? Do we still use that art today that people created tens of thousands of years ago? 3, can you look at art and tell how it's made? What are the materials that go into making that art piece? How much does it cost? How long does it take to make? So lastly, if you want to become a budding artist, there's lots of different areas of visual arts we need to study, just besides our art skills. Artists create art for a unique purpose. They create art because of what they've witnessed. They create art because of what they've experienced. They create art because of what they've imagined. All different things that we also share and help us create our own art. Artists fall into 2 categories. There is performing art and non-performing art. So performing art are those that are in dance and drama and theater. They perform live for an audience. There are artists like visual artists and writers, and they perform in isolation. Sometimes art is a long process, sometimes 3 to 4 years, sometimes a decade, and then it's ready for an audience. And sometimes art never makes it to an audience at all. You just create it out of your experience and your emotion. And art should be created to evoke emotion. And we're going to look at several art pieces that do that. So in order to understand art and how it's made, it's best to start with the basics and to start with understanding the elements of art and the principles of design. There are 7 elements of art you should remember: line, shape, color, form, texture, value, and space. With these elements combined, you're going to make a great artist. So go grab your sketchbook so that we can practice these skills. Line is perhaps the most basic of all the elements. So in our sketchbook today, we are going to practice writing the word line, L-I-N-E. If you can, please write it in bubble letters just to stimulate that creativity. And a line is an extension of a point in some direction through space, somewhere on your paper. So a line can be curved, and this is the first one I'm starting with, is curved, and it can look like a rainbow. So right now we're just going to practice drawing curved lines. And then I'm also going to label this. Curved, C-U-R-V-E-D. This is a curved line. A line can also be zigzag, so kind of like a lightning bolt. So maybe there is a lightning bolt coming down. So I'm just going to practice drawing some zigzag lines. Another line can be diagonal. So there can be diagonal lines. I'm also going to label DIAGON diagonal. Then we could have some vertical lines that go straight up and down. VERTICAL. And then we could have horizontal lines like the horizon. HORIZONTAL, horizontal. Lines can be regular or irregular, like dotted or dashed, for example. And one of my favorite forms of art to study is pointillism, and it is just a series of dots. So I am going to do the dotted line. So D-O-T-T-E-D, dotted. And then we also talked about dashed. DASHED, dashed lines. We can also make wavy lines. Like the antenna of a bug, maybe, or the waves of an ocean or water. So I am going to write wavy. We can have straight lines, STRAIGHT. So for these straight lines, I am going to do two things. I'm going to make some a little bit thicker, some thin, and I'm also going to try a pattern. So you can have straight lines vertical, and when you overlap them, you can have straight lines horizontal, and it kind of makes this grid-like pattern or weaving pattern or checker pattern if we were to color it. So what I did over here was also demonstrate that you can draw lines thick or thin. So I am just going to create a little doodle. And I'm going to make some of them thick, and then I'm going to leave some of them thin. So I'm just going to go back and kind of make this abstract and make some of the lines thick and then leave some of the lines thin. And I'm using a pen today, so you know, with your pencil you might just have to go back and shade it just a little bit darker. And there's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I'm just making some lines thick and some lines thin. There are also lines that can evoke certain feelings or make statements, and those can be jagged lines. So maybe it's like a heartbeat. Very jagged. J, A, G, G, E, D. And another line that I always like to do are some spirals or curly lines. Spiral, S-P-I-R-A-L. Sometimes lines can create one or more focal points, drawing the eye to a particular place. So, for example, that could be a horizontal line, drawing the viewer's eye to a focal point. So I'm just going to draw just a quick picture right here. These lines too also give it perspective, like objects in front of the picture can be bigger. So maybe I have like a sailboat right here. And then like a silhouette of a sailboat. And maybe there is like little birds back here. So a line can be drawn to give a focal, F-O-C-A-L, point, which gives the viewer the space where you really want them to look. So line is perhaps the most basic element of all art. So just right now, kind of create your lines, and if you want to go back and color it, you can do that as well.